All right, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shalom,
All
shalom.
right, all right, all right. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. Shabbat Shalom to everybody that's online, tuning in, or that will be tuning in. Apologies for the late start. Uh, just trying to make sure we get everything situated and right. As you can see, the title, America is Spiritual Egypt. There's no debates about it. Some people, especially within the Christian community, um, the Bible naysayers or whatnot, or leave up debates about, oh, it's not spiritual Egypt. They're just trying to connect themselves with the Jews somehow, some way, and making up and fabricating and um, uh, assuming certain aspects of the scriptures apply. No, America is Egypt spiritually. Thus saith the Lord, and we're going to go through a number of different things. We don't have the screen to put on, so for everybody's in class, you might want to go on to the YouTube channel so that you can follow along with the PowerPoint that we got today, and you can see the visuals. And it's important because we're in the spirit of Passover now. We're in the spirit of our deliverance. We're in the spirit of our purging of the leaven. We're in the spirit of actually spring cleaning, so to speak. We're supposed to do that physically and spiritually. So it's only fitting that we flash back into the essences of our beginnings and the essence of our Passover, which began in Egypt. Okay. Um, Elder Rashov did a beautiful lesson last week regarding the 10 plagues and how those plagues are really relevant in regards to what's happening to the children of Israel now and back then. And very interesting enough for brothers and sisters, man. Hopefully, y'all watch that lesson, and you go back and watch it, and then do your research in regards to these the particular plagues and how they all had some relevance to a god of Egypt, and how the Most High really put those plagues to mock the false gods of Egypt and to show that they are of no power and that the Most High is truly the only power in the universe, and He's our Father, right? The children of Israel. So let's get right to it then. Let's get right to it. Let's open up with Exodus. Salaki, not Exodus. Revelation 11 and 8. Let's start there first. Revelation 11 and 8. And we'll start off there.
Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Right. So the scriptures is talking about the saints of the Lord is their dead bodies. The saints of the Most High is Israel. Okay. It's acknowledging that our dead bodies are going to be lying in this street, the great city. What's the great city? Hold that and go over to Revelation 14. And I think I want to read verse 8.
Revelation chapter 14 and verse 8. And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
See, America is the only place that will composite a spiritual makeup of some of the most evil, wicked, idolatrous, fornicating nations on the earth, right? America embodies spiritual Babylon, which leads to the Hebrew word babal, meaning confusion, right? America is full of confusion. We see that not only through the gender bending laws and nature that he's got here, not only through the foods, not only through the customs, not only through the encouraging the idol worship, through the religious institutions that they got lined up. Everything is confused here, right? Now, this is the great city that's embodying the spirit of Babylon, America. Now, America also embodies the spirit of Egypt. Egypt was well known for not only the captivities that they brought upon the children of Israel or bondage, okay, as we'll read in the scriptures later. It's known for its bondage. It's known for its so-called advancements in technology and infrastructure and all that other thing, all those other things, right? So, in America, has been known to hold down the crown when it comes down to those advancements and taking credit for those things. Then it also says the spirit of Sodom. We all know what happened with Sodom. Genesis 19 tell you, man, the spirit of Sodom was overtaken in the city, Sodom and Gomorrah. The Most High destroyed that place because of its abominable nature. Men there trying to sleep with angels and wanting to rape other men. all kind of abominable and fornication attitudes, the acceptances of the unrighteous ways and the vile natures of how people were living. That was accepted. Same way they do here. They allowing these people to be whatever you want to be. Nobody comes against it. You can't speak against it. Anything else, you're getting canceled. You're getting fired. You can't say nothing against some of the madness that's going on here now. For those that seen the Don't Shoot the Messenger last night, Tennessee just is proposed. The Republicans of Tennessee proposed a new law to eliminate age requirements for marriage. That means that a 45-year-old man can marry a 10-year-old girl, and it's legal. Hypothetically, that's what they're doing. 17 is already the legal age with parental consent. They're switching it to, they omitted age requirement now. So now the pedophiles is running wild. The sister Ketanji Brown Jackson, the new Supreme Court justice, she's going light on all the pedophiles and apologizing for even having to lay down. I mean, this is what they're allowing now. Only in America, as Don King would say, where they'll have, fat sodomite men dressed as women and drag queens and all of that, reading to the kids in the elementary schools and in the libraries, having twerk parties, at these little conventions that they have in Denver. America allows all this madness. Every commercial has got some sort of innuendo regarding same-sex marriages. America promotes all of this. So this place is the great city that embodies spiritual Sodom, spiritual Egypt, and spiritual Babylon. No other country is doing this and promoting it and actually forwarding the agenda. From the cartoons to the books to the magazines to the media to the movies, they push the entire agenda. When you leave it up to what's the name of that movie they just had out a few years back, The Gods of Egypt. They even saying they was all of these. I can't remember if there was a so-called blackface in that movie. Leave it to the white man. He said, we was the gods of Egypt. We was the Egyptians and the whole nine. They pushed that Hermetic hypothesis. Everything came from the Edomites. They was the real Hamites. He takes credit for every damn thing. But now we're seeing here that this place, it says, our dead bodies is going to lie in the streets of this great city. Well, how many times have we got to repeat and say the names of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Oscar Grant, Philando Castile, Sandra Bland? I mean, the names go on and on. Ahmaud Arbery. What's the brother that just got killed up there in Minnesota? I just read about and talked about him last night. Nair, was it?
I know Michael Brown. You didn't mention him.
Mike Brown. I mean, the list goes on. Can we talk about the slaughtering of the Native American tribes? I mean, how many of them been killed? Over 77 million. You want to talk about the Central American and indigenous tribes of the Aztecs and the Mayans, the Incas, that all was destroyed? The concentrated effort of genocide that happened until this day. Yeah. Until this day, we're talking about genocide of a people that they continue on. I was just watching a little flashing back about Black Wall Street and the Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now that they're acknowledging it as a massacre, and there are still people, I know for a fact, there was one sister that still survived from that. Is there any reparations for her? They allowed her to go speak at the what was it, the 100-year remembrance or memorial last year. They let her speak, but she ain't got. This was a place that was thriving. Education, banking, grocery store, you name it. Thriving community, man, gets bombed. Over 300 people dead. 300, a complete massacre. And what do? Give them a damn museum to remind everybody of what Esau did to us. And they'll give no reparations, no nothing, no. Oh, we'll just help it stay in remembrance. We need to continue remembering how our dead bodies are lying in the streets of this great city. So we've been slaughtered, we've been maimed, we've been kidnapped, we've been murdered, we've been raped. It's all happening here in this place. And it says, where also our Lord is crucified. This is the place that crucifies an image of Yahweh Shai. They're saying that he's a white man. They're saying that he's loved everybody, They're saying that, he walked around effeminate, in these damn movies, and they're getting ready to have the new Passion of Christ, the Resurrection. That's getting ready to come out, I think, next year. Mel Gibson is back at it again. They too far gone to even try to change it and say, you know what, we know the truth now. Everybody knows Christ wasn't what. He can't go back and change it up now and say, you know what, we're gonna have to change up the depiction. The Edomite that played him, you can't cast him as role right now. We got to switch it up. We're getting Denzel to play him this year. That ain't happening. So consistently, he's crucified through the imagery, the religion, the false doctrine, everything else is putting him into an open shame and crucifixion, man, and putting his whole legacy to death, essentially. And America's at the forefront, pushing it to the limits, degrading our Savior and our big brother, right? So this place has to be described in a spiritual sense of Egypt. What place embodies the essences of Egypt better than America? We're going to get to all the proofs today. All right, let's jump over to this PowerPoint. Let me share this. All of the proofs today. Let me share this here. This should be good. Okay. Let me make sure everybody can see that. All right, so looks right. So, what two things do we have in common off the top? What's the first thing that comes to everybody's mind when we talk about Egypt and we talk about our place here? The dollar bill. All right, we'll get to that later. That's the first thing that comes to your mind. What else, though? Bondage. Slave ships. Okay. The pyramids. Everything that we're going to see today. We're going to go over all of that. First thing, though, let's talk about the bondage. What was our introduction to Egypt? Back in the day, our introduction was because of famine. We had to go there, and next thing you know, it turned into our captivity. Well, 10 tribes was already over here. They was thriving. Everything was good. Southern Kingdom came over here in bondage, and by the time they came over in bondage, the 10 tribes was already either in bondage or put to death. So the common thread that we'll talk about is the bondage. Let's look at that first. All right. Let me change. So here we know that we have a history of bondage in Exodus first chapter. It's one thing too, put out a disclaimer, especially for the brothers. We have to be careful because the Kemetic community and these little scholars will put up a fight when we say Israelites, we built all the pyramids, we built up all of Egypt. We didn't do all of that. The scriptures don't even say that. The scriptures say that we built treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. That's only 2. But you had pyramids in the Upper Egypt, Lower Egypt. They had construction that was going on before Israel even got there, right? So we got to be honest about that. Were we in bondage? Did we actually put in labor? Absolutely we did. There's no denying that. But we can't say Israel built Egypt. We didn't build up Egypt. That's not the truth. That's not accurate historically. But did we have a hand in building it? Absolutely we did. Let's go to Exodus, 1? And let's read. Let's start at verse 8 and then read on down.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
So we know that our entire time in Egypt, we wasn't in bondage. We know that we had a rulership under Joseph and lineages after him. I believe Joseph ruled for like 71 years. And then we had a contingency of rulership after that. So now we're getting to a point to where a new pharaoh arises, doesn't recognize the rulership of Joseph any longer, and is starting to establish an insurrection regarding the rulership that came under the Hebrews, right? So he said he's not recognizing Joseph anymore. They're going to start all new, and the people of Joseph meaning the Hebrews were going to pay the price. Okay, read on.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our
Now
enemies.
hold that. Notice it said, "Come, let us deal wisely with them." Go to Psalms. Hold that. Go to Psalms 83. There's one thing that we got to always remember and understand: the psychological warfare, man, that the so-called white man does, the same thing that the damn other heathens do, is they always say, we got to deal wisely with them. Uh, Psalms 83, and let's read 2 and verse 3.
Psalm chapter 83 and verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
So our enemies have made a tumult. They're showing uh anger towards the children of Israel, and it said that they're going to make a tumult, meaning they're going to actually start causing a stir and an uproar regarding how they're going to deal with the children of Israel. Right?
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden
You
ones.
see that crafty counsel. Now that all the nations know, we got to deal wisely with them. We got to deal craftily against them, because the children of Israel, when we're on point, you can't, throw the wool over our eyes and do any old foolishness to us. So they always realize we got to come slick. We got to do some things that they're not going to expect. Just like we see now, I heard y'all talking about the ingredients and the lists and stuff that we got to look at for Passover. That's how we even see the facts that we have to be diligent in our walk and how we take it and how we apply these laws, because our enemy's saying wisely we got to deal with them. We got to make sure that we're not going to do anything overtly and open, because they might catch us. We got to be slick. We got to do things underhandedly. Hide it under this name, hide it under that name, and we got to sit back and constantly go back, research, calling companies, emailing, trying to make sure, does this have pork in it? Does this have lard in it? Do you guys still cook with it? And it's like, yeah. What does this name break down to? They got polyphosphorate function on there. You like, what the hell is that? You finally look it up. Yeah, this is a leavening agent. And you're like, God dang, ain't there something? Because they know if we just say yeast, okay, Jake just look for yeast. They just throwing out bread and crackers and say, okay, that's all we got to worry about. Biscuits. You can't have your cornbread Negroes anymore for a week. You get those. But then they got everything else still in the house, and they like, oh shoot, we didn't realize it. Now that's how slickly, they operate. So he said craftily, they got to deal with us. So, they even divide us through the racial lines and all of that, all of the different, you black, yellow, red, brown, that all came from Esau. Or even saying that all 12 tribes were all different, blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, you're all different. And we're going to have infighting between each other. We're going to implement, the self-hate, doctrines that come along with it. Just like we seen with, mentioning with the Oklahoma, the Black Wall Street. And people always do realize with this whole, Black History Month, so-called Black History Month, it's always a remembrance of our curses. It's never, the little glory that we do get, it's the same characters. You're going to get Sojourner Truth. You're going to get, Malcolm X. You're going to get Martin Luther King. You might get a little bit of, damn, what's the brother? I drew a blank. Marcus Garvey. You may get a little bit about, you may get Fred Hamilton, but only if you look it. They ain't put that out there publicly. Yeah, Frederick Douglass. For what I hear, he was an Edomite. You're gonna get the same cast of characters, man, that they're gonna drown us with. And outside of that, you're gonna see all the hell that we went through. We're gonna get reminded of all the trauma. And outside of that, you get it for 28 days, 29 if we're in a leap year, and then you go back to normal. Regular scheduled programming. Now we see it here. They said, so craftily, we got to continually put them in a position to where we get used to our afflictions. In the rap music now, and in the culture that the youth is growing up into now, we're glorifying how bad our neighborhoods are. When you talk about, I'm from this part of town, and this is how bad it is over here. Only the strong survive. Real niggas and real itches, is over here. And you saying, do you realize you're saying how bad, how cursed you are, and you glorifying it as if like anybody can't come over here. You can't come over here with your chain out. See, I'm out here with all my jewels on. That shows you. And you saying, do you realize what you're saying? And Esau sitting back, see, craftily, we got them even embracing their cursing and their captivity. So this is what they do. So crafty counsel they had to take against us and consult against our hidden ones. Well, what did they do back in Egypt? They said, well, we got to deal wisely with them. Craftily, we got to deal wisely. We can't do just things overly and overtly. Go back to Exodus. We got to make sure that nothing is overt, nothing is caught in the mist. We got to make sure that they don't catch on to the plan. That we're going to dethrone them. We're going to slap the chains on their butts, and they're going to be up out of here. And they're going to come over here, and they're going to build a couple more cities for Pharaoh. Go back to Exodus, and let's pick it up at verse 10 again.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
So they had to make sure that we didn't have any allegiances with any of the neighboring nations. Be it the Nubians, be it the Syrians, be it any of the nations that was surrounding that Egypt would have caught flack with. They know we could have easily went and created covenantal bonds with them and said, hey, man, we share a common bond and common enemy. These damn Egyptians is wilding out. Let's link up together. We'll all boost them up out of here. Two is better than one. So obviously they had to throw a little bit of disinformation and strife in there to say, you know what, any of these neighboring nations, they don't like y'all. You can't depend on them. Same way Esau does and throws out all this disinformation that goes on over here. Tell you black and brown, you guys are all different. You guys can't get along. Don't let us come together. That's the so-called white man's greatest damn nightmare is when blacks and browns, if we ever got together, and not if, when we do come together, it is over. Over. And I always said it, the one time that I really seen that and felt that was in the 92 riots. That was one time when the whole city was shut down here and you see black and brown written on the wall, black and brown together, man. Jake's is right, yeah, Rodney King. Arm in arm, we was out here wilding in the streets, man. Esau couldn't do nothing but bow down and got the hell up out of there. The police was riding right past us. They was not in the. They said, man, let them niggas and spics do what they need to do. Get out of here before we die. I got to get home and save, Karen at home with little Josh, and they was worried about their homes. But Israel was so strong in the streets, man. They had to call the damn army in. Tanks on the streets, curfew. They said that's enough of this. We got to bring in the tanks to stop them. We didn't have no tanks. We were just on the streets. Then what happened? We get the peace treaty. The gangs in Watts, the gangs in South Central, everybody started getting along. And that lasted less than a year. That lasted like a few months. Before the next thing you know, boom, some Jake get killed. They whisper it in the ears. Yeah, we heard it was such and such. And Jake's is back at it again. I think the whole peace treaty, especially in Watts, I think it lasted like a year. The rest of the cities, man, they start breaking down in less than a year. Because Esau said, man, if they get along, it's over. So the same thing they said is if they ever unify, they ever create conglomerates to where people are all coming again. One people come together with another people and they come against us, it's over. So they said in Egypt, we got to deal wisely with them, lest any of our other enemies hear about it. Next thing you know, they're going to come against us and it's over. So they had to make sure that they kept us separated. They kept us ignorant and dumbed down. And now we don't have any reliance upon each other. This is why we got to break that curse, break that mind frame of Deuteronomy 28:54. Your eyes going to be evil against your brother and all of that. Because once we get the keys and we understand it, it's over. Esau knows it. That's why he sets up all these roadblocks and all of this divisive information and foolishness. You can't go into Compton right now in certain areas, man. The 10 tribe don't like Southern Kingdom and vice versa. The regular Jake is out here talking about how the damn Mexicans stealing all the jobs. And meanwhile, it's like, brother, you got a job? Well, yeah, but they still stealing all the jobs. Like, well, you got a job. Why are you worried about it? Man, it's because Tyrone, man, he just got out. He can't get a job. Well, Tyrone got out. Let Tyrone get his own job, But they just set that up. Read verse 11.
Verse 11. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens.
So we got taskmasters set up over us, afflicting us in our burdens. Go ahead.
And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses.
So we did have a hand in helping build up the establishments of Egypt. Python, Ramesses, these are establishments that the children of Israel. You see here on the visual aid, the mud and the brick and the mortar of the children of Israel serving bondage there in Egypt. Okay, and we don't see no white bodies over there, do we? I don't see near white body, man. But leave it to the white man. He gonna say everybody was white. Go ahead.
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
Is that not happening today too? I mean, he's constantly trying to stop every instance. He wants to try to cut off the seed of man. I just seen a commercial they had about the abortion or some next day pill for the females. The majority of the people in the commercial was Jake's. Sister talking, she got it. She walking in the damn store with her basket and she dropping in the next day pill, the morning after pills and all that, trying to see if they can cut off the seed. Now they telling the women, hey, you need to be focused on your career. Forget them kids. Make sure you go to school. Make sure you get out there, start your career. You can start having kids at like 35. Once you get everything rolling, by the time you get there, and then the doctor's saying, you're high risk at 35. We don't know if you can carry. And they sit back, double back, and saying, dang, I thought, this is the way I'm supposed to go. I mean, Kevin Samuels have made a whole career off of talking about this. Well, you see that? They said the long vid symptoms now is leading to infertility. But for Israel, we always say, baby's kids. We don't die, we multiply. They sit back and say, damn. Yeah. Through the jab, we done lynched, hung, burned, we done poisoned, we done experimented on them, we done buried them in graves in what's the name I put? The Devil's Punch Bowl down there in Mississippi. Drugs. I mean, infiltrated. They did it all. Drop weapons off in the damn neighborhoods and said shoot and kill each other up. We don't give a damn. And they still saying, how the hell are they multiplying? They down there like roaches at the border right now, trying to crawl and creep under every little crack they can to get up in here. And they say we can't get rid of these damn people. We tried it all. We destroyed their civilizations and in the Inca, Aztec, Mayan civilizations, great kingdoms. We destroyed that. They still here. We done wiped out all 300 plus tribes here. Re-educated them, schooled them, shaved their heads off, changed their names. Threw them on reservations. We figured that might do it. Smallpox, whooping cough, nothing got rid of us. Enlisted us in their armies, threw us on the front lines in the Civil War and everything. We still here. So same thing was happening back there in Egypt. They was like, dang, the more that we afflict them, the more they keep multiplying and growing. We can't get rid of these tribes. But the Most High said that we're gonna be like the sands of the sea, man. If you count every grain of the sea. Go out to the beach and figure grain by grain, count it up. He said, then you can figure out how many Israelites you got. That's why I run around with the damn census every 10 years. How many of them are there? How many? And I put out an article. They said that census was geared towards. They said that the numbers was miscrewed because they was really concentrating on the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. I forgot where. I forgot the. I put it on one of DSTNs, but I don't have the article off the top, but. They clearly said that them census is geared towards the children of Israel. Finish up 12, and then read down to 14.
And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage.
You see that? So the Egyptians made the children to serve with rigor. So they made us work very hard, harshness. So we know what happened when out there in them fields, them cotton fields, sugarcane fields, tobacco fields. Our people was out there laboring, man, going through hell. You got cats, man, that came up in the sharecropping days, man, 5 years old, out in the fields, carrying 100-pound, bushels of cotton for chump change for the day, a day's labor. You look at the situation with the black farmers, man, they had like $1 billion settlement. They still ain't got paid. And they supposed to got the settlement back a few years ago. And they still ain't got the money divided up. So they got our people out here laboring, building up Egypt, establishing their power base, still making sure that they're a power over the rest of the nations. If you look at the history of the children of Israel, man, everywhere we're in bondage, that nation is on top. Find me one where we wasn't there and that nation wasn't on top. I'll wait. Assyria, bondage, they was on top. Babylon, bondage, they was on top. Egypt, bondage, they was on top. America, bondage, they was on top. Rome, Greece. I mean, where else do we need to go? Wherever we're at, those nations thrive and are at the top of the list. Egypt understood that, man, and they said, you know what, man, make them serve with rigor. We need to continue ruling the rest of the world. So they made us serve with hard bondage. All right, go ahead.
In mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
Service in the field. Where else did we serve in the fields? I mean, we know the history of our people out here in these fields. Our people still out in the fields right now, picking avocados, oranges, strawberries, grapes, all of the agriculture, pineapples, you name it. Ain't no white men out there and white women out there climbing trees for coconuts and everything else, trying to make sure that they get a day's labor in. Dole, orange juice, pineapple juice and all that. That's all on the sweat labor of the children of Israel, man. Same thing that was going on back then, man. When you're dealing with all of the service of the field, that was us. But we see and know how that played out. Jump over to Jeremiah 23. Jeremiah 23. And let's read 5 through 8. Jeremiah 23, 5 through 8. So we see the connection and we see the parallels of our bondage in Egypt and how it plays out here in America. The same things are happening.
Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 5. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth.
So I'm speaking about Hamashiach Yahushua, man. He's going to come. He's going to bring judgment and justice in the earth, man. That lets you know that there is not righteous judgment going on in the earth, and there is no justice. This is why the Negro came up with the no justice, no peace slogan, because it was obvious, but they just too ignorant to realize that they're not going to get justice by marching. You're not going to get it by voting. You're not going to get it by rioting out in the streets. Justice is going to come through the hands of our Savior, Hamashiach Yahushua. Okay, and he's going to come through the seed line of David. Go ahead.
In his days, Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely.
So in his days, the entire conglomerate of the children of Israel, Judah being the southern kingdom, Israel being the northern kingdom, is going to finally dwell in safety. Right now, that obviously lets us know that we're in peril everywhere that we go. We're not in safety wherever we go. This is why you're in the hood with bars on the windows and bars on your doors, because we're not dwelling safely. This is why we got everybody getting Ring now and got Alexa telling you what's going on in your home every dang minute, because we can't dwell in safety. We're not going to get that until we're in our kingdom. Go ahead.
And this is his name, whereby he shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
See, that was the first essences of our bondage and our deliverance. That's our legacy that our people was holding our heads high on that, because of the miraculous way that the children of Israel was delivered out of Egypt. That was a big thing that we had to carry on for legacy and generations. Hey, remember what happened in Egypt? The 10 plagues, the parting of the sea, the deliverance that came out of there. Moses being a revolutionary, man, standing up against his, raised in the household of Egyptians, rebelled and said, you know what, I'm going to join my people. I'm going to fight for their liberty. I'm going to make sure that they get up out of here. We're going to go worship our Father. I'm going to teach these laws and get a whole new mind frame into my nation again. That is going to be a thing of the past. What's going to be the new thing? Read.
But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel.
Wait a minute. The seed. So let's kill that spiritual Egypt madness. I mean, spiritual Israel madness too. Because even in that day, a future prophecy said that the seed is going to be relevant with the deliverance of the children of Israel. Physically, the children of Israel is going to be delivered, which led the seed of the house of Israel, read,
out of the north country.
The north country. Babylon back in the days was known as the country of the north. America, again, is spiritual Babylon. It's also known as what? North America and all of its accompanying nations around. South America, Central America, Canada, the Caribbean islands. This is all Babylon. This is all spiritual Egypt. This is all part of the north country. Read.
And from all countries whither I had driven them.
And throughout the four corners of the earth where we've been scattered. Read.
And they shall dwell in their own land.
So we're going to dwell in our own land again. So that's why the Most High said that we are going to have a history of ancient Egypt, but it's going to be connected with modern day Egypt right now. This is why we see that the Most High is true and every man a liar. Okay. Let's move on to this next slide. And obviously we know this one, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 28. Some of y'all gonna say, well, yeah, we know all of this. Don't worry. We're gonna continue on. If you know it all, hey, all praise to you. Huh? Oh, all praises then. That's what's up. So let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 28, read 15, then we're gonna read 68. Actually, read Exodus 20 and 2 first. Exodus 20 and 2. Let's read that first.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2.
I guarantee you, as we can keep going, there's going to be stuff that y'all ain't seen or ain't recognized or didn't even realize will link up the two. Exodus 20 and 2. Go ahead.
Verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Right. So Egypt is synonymous with bondage. Okay. So when we're looking at synonyms or we're looking at descriptive words, when it came down to Egypt, our best recollection that would come to pass would be the house of bondage. Okay. Egypt, we know, is a Greek word meaning Egyptos, is meaning dark. That would be the land of the dark people or whatnot. We know that the original name of Africa or that particular portion was Ham or Kam, as it says in the Hebrew. But in the spiritual aspect and in the physical, according to the scriptures, it said that the land of Egypt would also be known as the house of bondage. So when we're speaking about Egypt, in this context, we're talking about our bondage. Go to 28 of Deuteronomy now. Deuteronomy 28, and let's read the 68th verse.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So the Lord said, I'm sorry, read verse 15 so we can make sure that it's clear for anybody new.
Verse 15.
Yep.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
Mm-hmm.
to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So there was agreement between the children of Israel and the Most High. The first 14 verses are all of the blessings that we will receive if we remained obedient. If we kept the laws of the Most High, we'd be on top of the world above all nations upon the face of the earth. That even says that in verse 1. Read 28 and verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1.
Right.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
That's all we need to do is be obedient to the Most High, keep the laws, and the Lord said, I will set you above all nations upon the face of the earth. No more checking in with Mr. Charlie. No more worrying about hearing that damn alarm clock waking you up every morning to go check in. You ain't got to worry about being miseducated and lied to. You ain't got to worry about what's in this ingredient and what you're eating. You ain't got to worry about, we wouldn't have to worry about none of that. And you would have, Aunt Jemima would be Karen. She'd be the one, on the box of the damn pancake mix. She'd be the one taking care of your babies instead of, the old mammy back on the slave plantation. All of that'd be out of here. We would be on top of the world, man, if we just stayed obedient. We listened to the Most High and stopped, following our own ways and our own thoughts. We would be straight. Clearly, we see following our own ways and do what we want to do and thinking our ways is right got us in bondage, captivity, death, mayhem, and destruction. So that our ways didn't work. Read verse 15 again.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So clearly, this was the other end of the stick of the deal. We can have it all or we can lose it all. Verse 15 said if we didn't keep diligent to the commandments of the Lord, we were going to be cursed. Verse 68.
Verse 68. And
The white man?
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So we can't keep giving Esau too much credit. You know, the Most High said, I'm going to be the one that does it. He said, I create evil and good. I even created the wicked for the day of destruction. The deceived and the deceiver is his. He said, I control Esau. And he's the whipping stick. I'm going to bring you into bondage again with ships because we never went back into bondage by way of ship again. The Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again as a nation. We're not talking about small transports here or there, certain tribes. No, as a nation. Yes, even the northern kingdom, the Native Americans and Hispanic, they went into bondage by way of ships. They went into bondage back into Portugal, back into Spain, back into England. They all got transported just as well. So they were not exempt from being put on cargo slave ships. I know the so-called Negro, we want to hold that to ourselves. They didn't go. That's another part of just complete brainwashing. The Negro onlys is you don't want to hold on to them. We was the only one. They didn't go into bondage. That ain't nothing to be proud of. But historically, yes, they did too. So you got to get up off of that. Stop trying to hold on to that just to make it exclusive to try to feel special. We went into bondage on ships. Y'all didn't. That ain't nothing to brag about. That just show you how undisciplined and wicked we was. But they was too. So the Lord said that he was going to bring us into Egypt again, this time with ships, because remember, last time we walked out. We didn't need ships. So this bondage is going to require ships from the Mayflower to the great, what's the great Jesus or whatever the one that they call it. But the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, all of them ships being utilized as cargo for human cargo. Okay, go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
So the form of bondage that we went in, he said we're not going to see it again. There's not going to be another slave ship shipping you off to China now, because China's going to, China thinks they got next and they're going to be ruling. We're not going into bondage again that way. So you can forget about it. Being back into the land of Israel, he said, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. So we're not going to be going into a bondage again by ships. This is the last captivity for us. We're not going into no more bondage. No nation is going to rise up again and say, okay, it's our turn now. We want the children of Israel over here in bondage now. That's not happening. Go ahead.
You shall be sold unto your enemies.
And to our friends?
Your enemies.
Our colleagues?
Your enemies.
Listen, the Lord said that we've got enemies. Whether our people want to believe it or not, accept it or not, the Lord said we've got enemies. And until we come to the realization of saying that's really what it is, and we can't live in this earth without realizing everybody don't love you. Everybody don't like us. People are out there, they're going to take advantage of you. People out there hate us. People out there are going to take advantage of us. People out there want to kill us. I mean, that's just what it is. And we have enemies. The faster that we recognize it and then we embrace that fact and we put ourselves on guard to deal with it, the better off that we'll be. But as long as we keep running around here talking about, man, we're all humans. I mean, who cares? I don't care who you love. Do what you want. That type of mentality is what's been implanted in our people's heads by the so-called white man because he wants to be forgiven for all of his evils, but never says sorry. Then the Pope just got to talking about. He just offered an apology for the slaughtering of the Native Americans up in Canada, and for the indoctrination of putting them in them damn Catholic schools where they was getting molested and raped, killed, and all of that. He finally came out and said, "Oh, well, we're sorry. We're sorry for the evils that the church did." We talking about damn near 200 years later. And he didn't do it in person. He talked about, hopefully by this summer I can schedule a trip out there. I'll come and say sorry in person. But the indigenous tribes had to go there to beg for a damn apology. It wasn't like he came out with it on his own. They had to go over there and say, look, man, do you recognize the hell that you caused our people, man? We're still trying to pick up the pieces. Hundreds of years later, he's, oh, you know what? You want an apology? Okay, yeah, sorry. And maybe I think they did it via Zoom or something. They went all the way to the damn Vatican in Rome. He didn't meet him in person. He said, maybe hopefully I'll schedule a trip and see you this summer. And I can say it in person. I mean, what happened with the anti-lynching bill that Slow Biden just signed? 200 times it got rejected. They just now coming up saying, oh, actually lynching is a hate crime. That ain't right. In 2022, you just now saying that lynching was wrong? And our people think that we're not loved here? I mean, we're loved here? Give me a break. The Lord said, when them slave ships docked in Jamestown, Virginia, the east coast of Brazil, in Puerto Rico, in Jamaica, when those slave ships docked, he said, there you're going to be sold unto your enemies. Who bought us? Who made the transactions? I mean, please, we didn't profiteer of it. We was going to be sold unto our enemies. That includes the damn Arabs and the African nations that was involved in the transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade. All of them was involved in our bondage. Sold unto our enemies for what?
For bondmen and bondwomen.
For slave men and women. Go ahead.
And no man shall buy you.
Buy meaning to redeem or to save us from his condition. Didn't mean to purchase. Because what's the point of saying you're going to be sold and then nobody's going to buy you, though? So, this is where we're seeing that this part of our captivity, the kindred spirit that ancient Egypt had with America, is the bondage of the children of Israel, that we wasn't going to be delivered out by any means, by any man. The Lord had to send a savior to deliver us out. Moses was a savior. He played the role of a deliverer and took us out of bondage into our homeland, into our into the wilderness for us to be purged and learn the laws and whatnot until we could be found righteous to go into our homeland. Same thing is happening here. We're getting purged, learning the laws, being put under the rod, rehearsing the righteous acts, doing everything that we can so that we can be delivered and found righteous to be put back into our homeland again. So the same scenario is playing out. Jump over to let me move on to the next slide. Let me see. Go to Jeremiah 50:33. Let's go there as well. Jeremiah 50 and 33. And let's get that clear too.
Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 33.
Mm-hmm.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together.
See, and this one is a hard one for the Negro only too, because they can't tell. Well, who's the children of Israel? Who and where were we oppressed together? The northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. This is post Babylon. When do we have that reuniting? That this is going to happen. Being oppressed together. So while the 10 tribes is going through their issues, I think they had in 15. I want to say like 1502 is where they started bringing over the first slaves from West Africa. 1499, you had over 200 slaves that got put in bondage from the indigenous tribes by Amerigo Vespucci. Christopher Columbus had slaves. He was transporting them back and forth, back into to Portugal and to Spain and whatnot. So that history is documented. So we're seeing the reuniting of the tribes serving bondage together in one particular land. When did that happen? Only here in America, where the indigenous tribes, the Arawak Indians, the Taínos, the Maroons in the Caribbean, the so-called black slaves here in the South and whatnot. You had the indigenous tribes in South Central America. All got reunited. When them slave ships came from West Africa and docked over here, everybody was getting put in bondage. I mean, the 10 tribes was already serving and getting whipped to death. That's where they was like, you know what? They can't even handle the bondage. We need to go get them strong Negroes over there from the west coast of Africa. Bring them over here and bring us some backup. The indentured, the white man love to talk about, we had indentured servants too. It was white. Can we put them in bondage from Ireland and all? Give me a break. Then they show that one little piece in 12 Years a Slave. There was one little Edomite in there, and he was serving out his little bondage, and he said he did just like Joseph in Egypt. He told, when I get out, I'm gonna make sure and I'm gonna tell everybody that you're in here wrongfully, man. We're gonna get you up out of here. That Edomite man broke wind and got up out of there, man, and forgot about the damn Jake. Same way they did in the Joseph. So give me a break. We're talking about as a nation, and we're seeing here Jeremiah 50:33, man. The tribes will be united in forms of bondage. Okay, read it from the top again.
Verse 33, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
See, and they refused to let us go, man. What happened back in Egypt? How many times did we, brother just went into the lesson last week? How many times did Moses have to tell Pharaoh, man, let my people go, that we can go worship and honor our Father, man, and do sacrifices? 10 times. Until the Most High said, man, forget it. We're going to take it by blood. That firstborn died. Pharaoh was like, get out. Leave me. I'm sorry. By that time, it was too late, man. They babies was already being laid out. Let's move on to this. So, we're going to look back at some of them plagues and look at how, has America been plagued the same way? Have they caught hell too? 2 Ezra 15 and 11. Let's go there. So we got, looking back at the lesson last week, we seen the plague of locusts. It may not be, and mind you, America had a plague of locusts as well, but we're going to see all kind of different bugs that America got hit with. This place is doomed. 2 Ezra 15 and go ahead and read 11.
2 Ezra chapter 15 verse 11. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues, as before, and will destroy all the land thereof.
See, the key word right there says as before. So this particular Egypt, we know Egypt at this particular time had been gone. Hundreds of years, the reign of Egypt had been up out of there, right? This is during the time of the Assyrian captivity. Well, actually, I'm sorry. This is post Babylon. Now, we're seeing here, verse 11. It says, "But I'll bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues, as before, and will destroy all the land thereof." So, when you hear brothers out there in the streets and everywhere saying America's going to be destroyed, the Most High said it. It's going to get plagued just like it was as before. So we have to start looking and saying, well, if America is spiritual Egypt, it has to go through some of the same things that ancient Egypt did, because the Bible said that it's going to go through those things as before. So let's look and see some of the things that was going on as before. So here's a little article I pulled up. So the most devastating plagues in U.S. history caused by insects in U.S. history. So how has Egypt been plagued by insects throughout U.S. history? I got about 7 of them up here. That's completion. All right. Rocky Mountain oysters. Rocky Mountain locust. That's an abomination too. I seen that on the damn cooking show about a year ago, and I was like, what the hell is Rocky Mountain oysters? It's a damn balls of a damn bull or something like that. They fry up. I mean, Esau is so foul, man. Is it pig balls? Good Lord. Okay. Rocky Mountain locust. That was a swarm in 1874. Destroyed millions of crops. Jacked up the economy, the whole nine, right? Silverleaf whitefly. That happened in 1897. That also caused major damage. The Oriental fruit fly, the 1940s. That caused major damage to the economy and to the overall agricultural production. leading to a shortage in fruits. Back then, the boll weevil, that's in 1892. And we're talking about a conglomerate, and some of these led to billions of dollars in damages in the infrastructure of America. So they've gotten hit. Same way Egypt got hit with the plagues of the locusts, how that damaged the crops. You know, them locusts come through, man. They tear up everything. I remember they had a swarm of locusts that hit Kenya about a year and some change ago, and they wiped out that they crops. They was over there starving, and I had a relationship with a couple cats over there, and I was asking them how was it. They was like, man, it's bad. It was over here jacked up. So the locusts come through, man. They coming through to destroy. Grasshoppers, they had a plague of grasshoppers in 1931. Mosquitoes in 1980. Termites in the 1960s. So this place is bound to constantly getting, plagued with stuff, right? Let's look at this one. Arizona storms are bringing mosquito infestation. This was in 2014. So I archived some of the articles I covered back in the day, some of the current events and stuff I had. So I archived this. There was an Arizona got stormed with a mosquito infestation in 2014. It says Arizona's barrage of rainstorms in recent months has created an unlikely pest infestation for the desert region, mosquitoes. The storms, including one that began Wednesday, have established a breeding ground for mosquitoes that some longtime Phoenix residents say are as bad as they can ever remember. Maricopa County environmental officials say they have received more than 10,000 mosquito-related complaints so far this year. County Environment Services Department spokesman Johnny DeLone said that it is nearly double the number of calls from the same period in 2013. So can you imagine? 10,000 people are buzzing the phone every minute. Mosquitoes all over the place. I'm getting bit. My dog is crying. And they sit back saying, there's nothing we can do about it. There's an infestation going on. So you know what was happening in Egypt. When them locusts was coming through, they was begging Pharaoh, stop it. My land, my crops, my children are crying and hungry when we can't eat. And Pharaoh said, what you want me to do? I can't do nothing. Moses, all right. You can go out and serve your people. And the Most High said, he ain't sincere. Harden his heart. Hit him again. So, mosquitoes, right? They got bees, also in Arizona. A hive of 800,000 killed the Arizona landscaper and injured others. So they had an infestation of 800,000 bees in Arizona as well. Arizona, I don't know why that desert land, but hey, isn't Egypt in the desert? So you got the mosquitoes, you got bees, you got locusts, you got termites. Americans got hit and got plagued by a number of different insect infestations throughout time. And now they just got to talking about California's getting ready to let loose GMO mosquitoes to try to stop the mosquito infestation here. Who knows what's in these damn mosquitoes that they building in the lab. But that's what's going on here. Then we also see here that Esau, speaking about GMO, weaponizing these insects, as we see here in an attempt of them trying to stop the children of Israel again. I've covered this and shared this with brothers and sisters before about Avon Park, Florida, and this is another example of how our dead bodies lying in the city of the great city. 1956-57, several U.S. Army biological warfare experiments were conducted in Avon Park. In the experiments, Army biowarfare researchers released millions of mosquitoes on the town in order to see if the insects would spread yellow fever and dengue fever. Hundreds of residents contracted a wide variety of illnesses, including fevers, respiratory problems, stillbirths, encephalitis, and typhoid. Army researchers pretended to be public health workers so that they could photograph and perform medical tests on the victims. Several people died as a result of the experiments. Avon Park, Florida was a project in Florida. And who do you think was living there? And then they were doing that to the white folks down there? That was all Jakes. And at the same time, in the same 50s, they were spraying radioactive chemicals in St. Louis. And they was doing STD experiments down in Guatemala. All in the 50s, man, tearing our people up. And here the white man is, he said, well, you know what, if we can't beat them, join them. we'll just weaponize the mosquitoes. We're getting bit up by these damn bugs. So and now he's talking about he wants to let out some damn GMO mosquitoes now in California. And you got a history of doing this. We supposed to trust that?
Because all weekend I've been driving like off the 134, they've been spraying.
Really? Mm-hmm. See? And y'all remember them? I was talking about it last night. Them mosquitoes that was biting everybody on the elbows and on the ankles a couple years ago? Yeah, what was that? They came out of nowhere. Right. They was all bad. So, man, these damn bastards out here doing this stuff. So let's look at the drought and famine. These are all part of the issues that, our people encountered, or we've encountered here in America as well. We know that Egypt got hit with the famine, right? Now we also seeing here that in America gonna get hit with the same thing and have been getting hit with the same thing. Let me see what I got here. Okay. So there's a slide here that says, what's the effects of a drought? So we looking at it, we seeing, for those of us who kind of pay attention to see what's happening, California's in a major drought. Arizona, drought. Colorado, drought. Portions of Utah, New Mexico, drought, right? So what happens when a drought? Okay, it says a drought can have serious health, social, economic, and political impacts with far-reaching consequences. Water is one of the most essential commodities for human survival, second only to breathable air. So when there's a drought, which by definition means to have little water to meet current demands, conditions can become difficult or dangerous very quickly. The consequences of drought may include hunger and famine. Drought conditions often provide too little water to support food crops through either natural precipitation or irrigation using reserve water supplies. The same problem affects grass and grain used to feed livestock and poultry. When drought undermines or destroys food sources, people go hungry. When the drought is severe and continues over a long period, famine may occur. So when we read all these instances about dearth and famine and all that, much of it has to do with there being droughts where we didn't have the water wasn't being supplied to where we could have the crops to grow, the grains. The animals going to suffer. The food supplies. We don't have the water to irrigate our gardens and whatnot. So everything gets impacted, man. Water is life for real. And if we don't have it, you can forget about it. Don't they say the human body is made up of what? Or I know they say Earth is three-fourths water, but even the body too is a reflection of that. Because of the need for the water, let alone with the blood. Is very important. So it says thirst. All living things must have water to survive. People can live for weeks without food, but only a few days without water. Disease. Drought often creates a lack of clean water for drinking, public sanitation, and personal hygiene, which can lead to a wide range of life-threatening diseases. Wildfires, the low moisture and precipitation that often characterize droughts can quickly create hazards. So here we see here all of these things that can happen. Then you look at it, you say, well, why was water the first thing that the Most High, put on the table? Water, the blood. Because everything else, what else happened? Wasn't there disease? Didn't they have the moraine and all that hit later? Wildfires, didn't they get hit with the fireball hails? Everything led up, but when the water was the first thing that got hit or the first thing that's shown, you can kind of see how everything, played off of the some of the particular plagues after the fact. So here's another article I had. It said the whole world is at risk from simultaneous droughts, famines, epidemics. This is from scientific research from the U.S. National Academy of Sciences, and they saying it's climate change. But the white man is man-made climate change. He's the one that's creating all these damn issues with the climate. Doesn't get a Sabbath of rest. There's no jubilee of Sabbath of rest no more. He's out here punching holes in the ozone layer. He's constantly raping and pillaging the land and whatnot. So, it's up to him. He's constantly building infrastructures everywhere. Doesn't care about nothing. This is everything that he's done. So crop yielding. The article was acknowledging saying that the whole world could be at risk for famine and drought through these particular epidemics. Now, this is California. This drought map, this is as of April 2nd, 2022. Everything you see here, extreme is the red. pretty much the whole state is in a extreme drought situation. So that means that everything we're going to be more self-reliant upon getting in stuff, bringing in supplies because we can't grow it here. California, I believe 16 crops that the nation is dependent upon come from California. If we can't produce this, it's going to trickle down to the rest of the country, right? So this is as of April 2nd. California is wiped out. But look at this. This is a map. This is from the country. September 2nd, 2014. We see here California, 2014 was exceptional drought, extreme drought situations, leaked on up into portions of Washington, a little bit over here into Nevada and whatnot, certain areas down here in Texas and what. Now look at January 5th, 2021. Is it getting worse or is it getting better?
Worse.
Y'all can clearly see that. Almost half of the country is experiencing situational drought. That lets you know that America is going to be destroyed. It ain't getting no better. And the white man said, "Oh, it's global warming. It's because you got plastic straws and you're not, recycling and all. Give me a break. This is the judgment of the Lord, okay? Because they're going to receive the same plagues as Egypt. This is why we're hearing about this food shortages now. Let alone this was going on prior to the war in Ukraine and Russia. We was already experiencing issues. What was it? I did a quick little video. That was December that Slow Biden was talking about shelves are not empty. Why are we talking about that? And now the war didn't hit until late February. And now he's talking about, the famine is because of the war. You just got to saying 2 months earlier. Wake up. You just got to saying 2 months earlier, shelves are not empty. So who's talking about shelves not empty? Why are we talking about food shortages at the end of 2021? And you talking about in 2022, there's no food. That's a complete lie. So we see here that the famine is getting worse, right? Now, and the drought is getting worse. So now let's look at pestilence. Is America getting hit with pestilence? I've got 8 different cases of where this place has got hit with different plagues, right? We see the scripture. Y'all can write it down. Exodus 9, 8 through 12. We covered that last week, right? So right now, you got bird flu. Is going on right now. And that's causing the cost of eggs and chicken to go up. They had to put to death, I think, some millions of damn chicken out of some farm because of the bird flu. So we see here, bird flu cases are surging in the U.S. What we know so far, that was March 23rd, that article. We also see March 26th of last year. Did anybody know that there was an outbreak of Ebola in Washington State? But y'all remember Ebola in 2014, wasn't it? Something like that? 2013? Yeah. When Ebola first popped up? Because we were so focused on the vid. Yeah. Who knew that they had Ebola broke out 23 people? They were watching Ebola over there, right? Swine flu, 2009. Spanish flu, 1918. Enterovirus. Chikungunya. Zika, y'all remember Zika? Everybody was scared of mosquitoes back then, and that was 2016. It was like, oh shoot, Zika, you might got Zika. You got a mosquito bite. You got Zika. You got Zika. And then, of course, in the center of everything is the vid right now, and we know that there's multiple different variants on its way. Right now, we're dealing with the BA.2, and we dealt with the Omarion, and we dealt with the Delta, we dealt with all of the. And they're still going to keep coming. And Bill Gates still, as I said, what the big one is, he said it's going to be a big one that comes. He said it's going to get everybody's attention. So who knows what that is? But it's going to come right out of this place. So we know the boils and the pestilence and everything that hit ancient Egypt, Same thing is happening here to America. Okay. Jeremiah 46:11. Let's go there. Egypt prided themselves on their medicine and their advancements in medicine and whatnot. Okay, we can pat them on the back and say, okay, yeah, that was cool. But the pharaohs of today and the wizards of today, they weaponize it. I seen somebody made, I don't know if it was a meme or if it was just like some quoted statement. And it said for as advances, it was something about as advanced as America is with medicine and all of that. People have never been more unhealthy. Like, if you got all of this advancement medicine, why are people so damn unhealthy and dying every day? From cancer to AIDS to the vid to obesity, to high blood pressure, to mental illness, to you name it. Why is everybody dying so much? That's why you can still say the same thing with ancient Egypt. Okay, so what? You made all these, these so-called advancements. Why wasn't it sustainable? Why is that place, a dust bowl right now and inhabited by heathens, by the fake Arabs over there? Because those is not Turks. Yeah, I think they Turks over there, coming out of Esau. Ottoman Turks over there in Ishmael over there in Egypt right now. They made the real Egyptians over there. Those are implants. Right. You know what I'm saying? They got implanted over there. Go ahead and read that. 46:11 in Jeremiah.
Jeremiah chapter 46 and verse 11. Go up into Gilead and take balm, O virgin, the daughter of Egypt. In vain shalt thou use many medicines, for thou shalt not be cured.
I mean, can you watch a TV show right now without seeing some experimental drug commercial?
Oh,
every minute it's a damn commercial. And they got the damn cat, talking all fast. Some may cause death, may cause vomiting, may passing out. If you see your doctor, side effects, and they saying it all damn fast, and you got a small print on your. Man. Every minute is some damn experimental drug because it's always talking about some new disease or some new that they trying to pop up and say this may stop it, this may stop it. Big money, big pharma is a big business right now, and they ain't solving nothing. As we see right now, people's up to their fourth poke in the arm. The latest is the fourth one is only going to work for a few weeks. That's what the scripture is talking about. In vain thou shalt use many medicines, for thou shalt not be cured. Why? Because these plagues are coming from the Lord. You're not going to keep coming back with countermeasures to the Most High. Same way they did with the Egyptian magicians and all of that. Anything you can do, I can do better. No, the Most High said, you're going to keep trying, and it's not going to work. The billions of dollars they put into cancer research, they still can't get that figured out. But they sure can go find, Lil Ray with a fingerprint and a smidgen of hair that he left behind. They can find him hiding out in Belize somewhere. I mean, you can do all of that, but you can't figure out how to get this cancer under control. I mean, come on now. AIDS. I mean, Magic Johnson looked more healthier and fatter than ever, and he's supposed to been gave up the go. I mean, what he got it in 92, 91 when he retired, got HIV. 92, man. Magic looked greater than ever. Made more money in the whole nine. You say, did he really have it, or what's going on? They got the cure, they got the cocktails and all of that, man, but they just keep making money off of it.
Big pharma.
That's it. Big business, big pharma, man. So in vain, they're going to make and use various medicines. So let's look at this. Ancient Egypt medicine. The medicine of the ancient Egyptians is one of the oldest documented from the beginnings of the civilization in the circa 33rd century BC until the Persian invasion in 525 BC. Egyptian medical practice went largely unchanged, but was highly advanced for its time, including simple non-invasive surgery, setting of bones, and an extensive set of pharmacopoeia. Egyptian medical thought influenced later traditions, including the Greeks. So, Esau goes and steals and takes from the Egyptians. They pride themselves on their medicines and whatnot. But at the same time, again, if they were so advanced, what happened to them? Why are they up out of here? Same thing with Esau and Big Pharma. Our people is more unhealthy than ever, but they got all these damn medicines and advancements in science. Some things have been good. I can't sit back and say everything they make is just destructive, but most of the time it's gain. You know, they always say they never heal. They just kind of, patch up and keep going. To put you on a system of drug. You know, I made an example about the mental health situation. I know when I was a kid, my kid, they try to get them to swallow a pill without chewing it up or something like that. Nowadays, these kids is popping pills like nothing. But where do they get it from? No. 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, in school, they got these child psychologists and counselors and all that sitting in there saying, hey, your son and your daughter, man, they can't seem to sit still. They seem to be distracted all the time. I think we may need to get them evaluated for ADHD. I think we may need to get them evaluated for, some other little psychological problem. And you say, what? He just, he got a lot of energy. What's wrong with that? You still talking about, false histories and all that. So what if he checks out? You don't want to hear about Christopher Columbus discovered America no more. So he's looking off the other way and drawing pictures on it. And they said, you know what? We're going to need to put him on some pills. Put him on some Ritalin. Put him on Prozac. Let's put him on all this other stuff. And now at 8, 9, 10, 12 years old, they popping pills on the regular. That transforms them into what? Pill fiends now. Now all these kids is out here running around searching for pills. Back in my day, I wasn't trying to take no pills. You scared you're going to choke. Right. Now these kids is out here taking multiple at a time. And they all addicted now. But lead that to the so-called white man. See, that's what he does in destroying our people. Now they all out here, man, ODing on pills, stuck out on opioids and everything else. Look, here we go. Study shows 70% of Americans take prescription drugs. That's the pride of America. That's because, you want to be, the advancements of ancient Egypt, how great they was with the sciences and medical. America prides themselves on the same thing. Then what do? You get a whole damn country dependent upon them, and that's Big Pharma, getting that money. As long as you need me, I'll never be broke. Prescribing that's just prescription drugs. We ain't talking about the illegal drugs. Fentanyl, yeah. That's big time right now. They just busted a couple, two cats, man. Was that where they was from?
Yeah, they was driving the van and they stopped the van, and when they opened up the van,
and they said they had enough fentanyl and drugs in there that could kill 4.7 million people. Yeah. Kill them, not get them high. That's just ODing on it. You out of here. So now what they do, they create a whole system to where they've got a dependent nation that's zombied out, waiting for their next fix, and they call it medical advancement, making people dependent upon all these damn drugs. That ain't talking about the lean. That ain't the heroin. That ain't the weed. You might as well say 100,000. Minus some people who just got real strict lifestyles in Israel that don't deal with certain drugs and all of that. Listen, let's just put it at maybe 95%. Strung out on something, dependent upon something. So it ain't no different, man. So we see what's happening over here. Okay. The economy. How's that working out? Wasn't Egypt at its greatest splendor? When you went over the plagues and the dream of Joseph, Al-Adad went over that. The dream of Joseph, 7 years of plenty, everybody to be independent upon. Joseph and Egypt, the thriving economy that was going on, making people sell their land, sell themselves, pay up all their money, give everything over to Egypt. Egypt was rolling. Well, what about America? America's a world reserve currency. Everybody's economy is dependent upon the dollar. How did America get to that particular point to where everybody's looking at America for financial stability? So how the U.S. dollar became the world's reserve currency. So back in Egypt's time, they was the number one with the money. They had everything under control. Here we are, spiritual Egypt doing the same thing. The first U.S. dollar is one of the world's strongest currencies. It is the official currency of the United States as well as several other countries. Is there any place in the world that you know of, in anybody's travels or your research, that won't take a dollar? Or that won't accept the exchange rate and accept that dollar and say, ain't nobody saying, look, I can't do nothing with this $100 bill, man. I know that's worthless over here. Unless you're going to somewhere, maybe some rural part of Africa or South America somewhere, they like, oh, we don't use this here. Other than that, you go into any civilized country, any place, that money's going to be able to be exchanged somewhere, somehow. They're not going to turn it away and say, we don't accept dollars here. Why? Because it's the world's reserve currency. Although it's deep-rooted history in the United States, the dollar as we know it today was first printed in 1914. That goes into the whole Federal Reserve and how they set up this whole central bank system that really corrupted the whole system of the economy, right? So what is a reserve currency? A reserve currency is a large quantity of currency maintained by central banks and other financial institutions to prepare for investments, transactions, and international debt obligations, or to influence their domestic exchange rate. So in other words, the dollar is responsible for how banks, investors, transactions, international debt, domestic exchange rates, all that comes from what America does with their money. America sets the standard when it comes down to the financial obligations throughout the world. All right. That's why China's trying to ease in. China trying to get up in there and say, we want to say so on how money works. We want to say so on how things operate. That's why America's even switching over. They said, well, we'll just go to the digital dollar. Everybody wants to do digital. We'll go ahead and create this little Fed coin, and we'll do whatever little thing that they're going to do with their particular crypto. They want to make sure that they have control over the financials of the world. A large percentage of commodities such as gold and oil are priced in the reserve currency. That's why they keep talking about how and why the oil shortages and whatnot are affecting the American dollar and the currency, because when they cut off Russia, Russia's saying, okay, well, you know what? You're cutting us off from being able to utilize the dollar as a reserve currency. You want us to depend on the ruble or whatnot? Okay, fine. Forget y'all. And now they out there telling everybody, well, you want to buy, forget US dollars. We need to come in rubles, or we need to come in gold, and you can come get our resources. And that's hurt the dollar more than it's hurt the ruble. The ruble actually is better now. Slow Biden and his dumb advisors, it just worked in reverse to him. He thinking we're going to break their pockets. And Russia said, okay, see who gets hurt more, you or us. And now the U.S. is sitting back and saying, oop, we got to raise the gas prices. We got to raise food prices. Bad move. But they know what they're doing. They intended on crashing everything. So it says, causing other countries to hold this currency to pay for these goods. So everybody's got to getting paid in dollars right now. So the U.S. is running the economy. That's how things is moving or working. Okay. Let's look at the polluted water. Let's go to Revelation 18. 18. Let's look at verse. I think it's verse 4. It says this place is polluted.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
That wasn't the one I wanted. Jump up to
14.
I don't think I want 14. It might be Micah. Might be Micah. Yeah, Mike can tell you this place is polluted. Go to Micah. I think it's Micah 2 and 10. And the one that says, come out of my people. Not come out of my people, but yeah. Micah 2 and 10. That's the one I want.
Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest.
So America's telling me, the Most High telling us, get out of America. This is not your rest. You know, this isn't the place where you're supposed to be trying to establish your little milk and honey, your every last dream and whim, and you know, trying to get your white picket fence to 2.5 kids. Where do they even come with 2.5 kids?
That's the dog.
The dog. I thought they was expecting, one of them not to make it. You know what I'm saying? You get one of them, you're gonna abort, or something's gonna happen. But maybe that's the dog. The white picket fence, all of that, man. Most High say that. Don't get comfortable here. This ain't your rest. This ain't the place for your American dream. This is not the place you're supposed to be sitting up your established, um, uh, your established little personal kingdom over here and all of that. The Most High said, "This is not your rest. Wake up and depart. We have to deliver our souls," according to Jeremiah 51 and I think it's 6. The Most High said, "Man, deliver your soul, deliver yourself up out of here, man. We got to spiritually disconnect from this place. The more that we're investing in it, the more that this place continually sucks the life out of our spirits, man, and keeps thriving. That's the nature of the beast. The beast will sit back, man, and chomp and bite and nip and tuck and suck every little ounce of spirit up out of us, man, until we just can't give no more. And then when you're done, you get thrown in the scrap heaps and they waiting for the next victim to come up." The Lord said, "Man, this ain't your rest. You can't sit back and get comfortable here. Because why? It's going to be destroyed. We just got to see it. Half of the country is damn near in the extreme drought, meaning the famine is coming. Yeah, they ain't in the drought. Damn near, they say 70%. I'm going up to 90. Is on drugs. The media is lying. I mean, you can't get truth out of nowhere." The Lord said, that's why he said, "I got a controversy with this place because there's no truth, no mercy, no knowledge of the Most High in the land." Micah 2, and keep reading.
Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction.
Holding on to this place, man, its ideologies, its way of life, and everything that will destroy us. And the answer isn't, well, why don't you just leave? It's the whole damn world. That's always somebody, you don't like it here, you don't like it in America, and the damn rednecks pop up, you don't like it's our country, get out. Go back to Africa. You like this? Africa ain't even our damn homeland. They buying into that damn lie. The whole world has been polluted by America. There ain't no place you can go that America is not touched, hasn't invaded, doesn't have a diplomatic station set up or an army set up somewhere that they can't go over there and influence. America, everywhere you go, damn near you got to speak English. Somebody's gonna be able to speak English. Every time you don't go to other countries, man. People come over here. If you speak Russian, you speak it. You go to Russia, you go anywhere, you can always ask somebody, "Do you speak English?" Somebody's gonna speak some English because they're gonna have to entertain Babylon the Great Whore. You can go to Egypt, you can go to Dubai, you can go to various places in Africa, you can go to obviously various places in Europe, France, Scandinavia. Everywhere you go, you check into that hotel, they ain't gonna speak to you in Scandinavian or whatever. They're gonna say, as soon as you say, they're gonna come in, they might look at you and they might ask you, "How can I help you?" Or they might say in their language, you can say, as soon as they say it in their language, hold on, can somebody speak English? They'll switch right up. "Oh, yes, how can I help you, sir? Your room number? Where's your ID?" Because they know America runs every place, man. There's no running, there's no escaping. That's why the Lord said, "You're just gonna deliver your soul, your spirit, disconnect, because it's gonna destroy you." Go ahead.
Verse 11. If a man walking in
read 10 again.
Verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction.
Even with a sword destruction. The place is polluted, right? So what happened in Egypt? Egypt got hit with that blood. They got polluted, right? So let's look and see. As America got hit, this is in Texas. This is in Texas a few years ago. One of their lakes got hit. Water turned red. Obviously it's not blood, but they say that it's algae that changes the color. That happens in a lot of different places. But when it started hitting, and in a couple of places here in America, it was like, okay, these are just signs. That's why when we just got to reading back in Second Ezra, didn't it say it's going to be destroyed with signs? Or what is? I don't want to misquote it. Let me just double check.
It actually happened to our fish tank. It turned red.
The fish tank did?
Yeah, it was an algae that was gone, and it turned red.
Yeah, see, that's what it is. That algae. No, that wasn't the one. But there was a scripture too. It said it's going to be destroyed and delivered through signs. I thought we read that one earlier, but maybe I'm missing it. I can't think of it off the top. But nonetheless, this was in Texas, right? But also we're looking at the pollution of water. So when it doesn't have to be blood red, we're just talking about polluted water that shouldn't be drank. shouldn't be utilized for sustainability or whatnot. Here's one article from out of Harvard. All right, I brought this out years ago. This is from 2012. The impact of fluoride on neurological development in children. This is from the tap water. For years, health experts have been unable to agree on whether fluoride in the drinking water may be toxic to the developing human brain. Extremely high levels of fluoride are known to cause neurotoxicity in adults, and negative impacts on memory and learning have been reported in rodent studies, but little is known about the substance impact on children's neural development. In a meta-analysis, researchers from Harvard School of Public Health and China Medical University in Shenyang for the first time combined 27 studies and found strong indications that fluoride may adversely affect cognitive development in children. Based on the findings, the authors say that this risk should not be ignored and that more research on fluoride's impact on the developing brain is warranted. Where did they say it was coming from? The drinking water. Majority, we know here, we done learned the hard way in California. We're not drinking out the tap water. They making a killing off of us with bottled waters and everything else. But go on the East Coast, go down south, go to certain places, they ain't got no problem turning on them faucets. All day. No. That water is tampered with. They can talk about, we got the freshest water here on the East Coast. The bush, it's got fluoride in it. And then you sit back saying, well, fluoride is so bad, but they put in all the toothpastes, all of the mouthwash. You go to the dentist, they using fluoride. And you say, dang, what the heck? Why they keep doing this? And now they're saying it affects it's neurotoxic. It's a neurotoxin in adults, meaning it's toxic to the brain for adults. Now it's saying that they've done studies where it affects the development of children. So can you imagine you raise your son or daughter up, you get the formula, oh, it's tap water. They mix it up the formula and all of that. Oh, do you want some more water? Go. The kids out. Remember back in the days, who wasn't outside playing, drinking from the water? I mean, from the water hose. You know, you're outside, you drink from the water hose. Schools, they got the water fountains. They ain't got no damn bottled water back in the day. Vending machines, they just started putting them like in the late 90s and early 2000s in the schools. You was drinking out them damn, especially Jason's playing sports. You going hard out there on the field or on the basketball court. You running over there to drink some water from the water fountain real quick. Get back out there and keep playing. All that was tampered with, man. Still bad. Yeah, exactly. Still here. They said the more that we kept inflicting them, the more they keep growing. They can't get rid of them. But now you see why they keep talking about all this mental health, all these mental issues going on, and people are slow. And can we look at the water? Maybe the water has something to do with it. You know that old saying, there's something in the water? Yeah, for real. Many urban tap water systems are loaded with SSRI antidepressant drugs. You can look at that. They talk about there's pharmaceuticals in the drugs. I mean, in the water. Yeah, by waste management, they throw in all the drugs and everything in the water. Then the recycling coming back through the drinking water. This is 2008. Pharmaceutical drugs were found in the water supply. In this report, it was revealed that at least 41 million Americans are exposed daily to tap water containing trace amounts of antibiotics, sleeping pills, and even sex hormones. That's since 2008. This article came out, I brought this out like in 2013, right? So they even talk about sex hormones. They talk about infertility drugs in the water, antibiotics, sleeping pills, all this stuff is in the water. So is the water polluted? Was it polluted in Egypt? Can we drink this stuff and feel safe? They even talk about some of the bottled water. I think, Crystal Geyser got caught up with a little scandal a couple years ago where they wasn't. They had bad water coming through. Their irrigation system was all jacked up. They had to pay out a little settlement. Like you said, the bottles with the BPA, the plastics leaking off into the water. I mean, all of this. Look at it. This was Flint. And you wondering, is that piss or is that beer or what is that?
Wow.
That is Flint, Michigan water. This is what Jason's drinking back then.
What is it, bottle?
He from the faucet.
Oh, I see.
He put water in there. Now hold on. He put water in there. That was the water from Flint, right? me see if I can find it.
That's Flint, Michigan, all right.
That was in Flint, right? Watch this. Hold on. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna have to switch this up. Let me switch this.
You say, is it this or is it beer?
I mean, when you got to look at it, you saying, "What is that? That ain't water, bro. What you do with that?" Yeah, for real. Hold on. Let me share this. I'm gonna trip over this one. This is from the fracking that's going on. All that drilling and stuff that Esau been doing.
Oh, especially down south.
Match to my water, and like I said, it is unpredictable, but I can often hold a standard kitchen match to my water, and like I said, it is unpredictable, but the methane randomly travels with the water, and sometimes it will light quite spectacularly. Just like that.
That's water, man. And she got methane coming through her water. And she lighting the water on fire, man. And she's supposed to wash her dishes, cook with that, drink it.
Now, Chesapeake is going to say, well, there's natural occurring methane in the wells already. What do you have? What's your reply to a comment like that?
My reply is that their post-fracking test, their own, the methane tested 0.01 milligrams per liter. And since July of...
So you tell me if America's water, this whole system ain't polluted and all jacked up, I don't know what is. I mean, but give me a break.
Wow. Where was this at?
I forgot where she was at, but
they're doing a lot of that down south.
Yeah, that's that fracking, man. They're doing all that drilling, and messing stuff up. But the methane is coming up, and it's making the water toxic, man, lighting it on fire. But so point been proven. If we ain't talking about blood in the water, but we talking about where it's unsustainable, undrinkable, where you shouldn't be, involving yourself in it, the fluoride, everything else, you can see, man. Jake, and it still ain't been solved up there in Flint.
No,
it's still jacked up over there, and it's worse. It's I've seen cases worse than what this is still kind of light. I've seen it darker than that. Unbelievable. All right, so let's look at a couple more things, man. Some more little fun facts regarding the geographics of America and Egypt and how the similarities there are here, right? So let's look here. Oops, not bad. Now this here is Upper Egypt, right? Lower Egypt. When you're looking over here on these particular spots on here, is anything on here ringing a bell when you're looking at a couple of these places on here that we can correlate with America? Memphis. Okay. Any other one? Anything else? Luxor. Y'all familiar with the Luxor?
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. So you see here, we got Memphis. We know about Memphis. You got the Luxor down here. So here's the Luxor in Vegas. They got the little Sphinx out there in the front. So America emulates and continually shows the emulation of Egypt by its even constructs. They went how many years before when they finally make that early 2000s the Luxor. Prior to that, man, they couldn't rebuild them temples. And those pyramids, they couldn't figure it out, right? But now we're seeing that America finally figured it out. They want to mimic and look like the Egyptian daddies, right? This is in Long Beach. The Walter Pyramid. This is where Long Beach State plays basketball. They got a pyramid, right? That's what isn't that what they call it? The pyramid, where they go play at. So these are all emulations of just a construct. So this also mirrors and shows the relationship between ancient Egypt, spiritual Egypt. They wanted everybody to be reminded of where and how they got their influence from. Even from the phallic symbols that they got over there in Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument is a symbolization of the Egyptian phallic symbols, right? Here's another thing. Go to Genesis 13, and let's read 15. Let's read 13 to 15. That's the Walter Pyramid over there in Long Beach. Now we're looking at this other map, right? So even when you see the blue line, that's the Nile River, and it flows from this angle will be upward, right?
South to north.
Yeah. So when you look in the middle, that's Upper Egypt, and you would think it'll be reversed, right? And then you got Lower Egypt is at the top. That's where we were as Israelites and Dylan and Goshen and so forth and so on. We was in Lower Egypt. Down in Upper Egypt, we had a time down there as well. There's an archaeological find called the Elephantine Papyri that dealt with marriage licensing customs and just show the presence of Israel being in Egypt, right? The Elephantine Papyri, but and land grants and whatnot. But you see where the Nile is flowing. It flows upwards, right? So read that in Genesis 15.
The book of Genesis, chapter 15, verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto Abram, know of a certainty that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge.
So the children of Israel were going to be promised to be serving as strangers in a land that's not ours, and we were going to serve for 400 years, right? So this would go beyond ancient Egypt, because ancient Egypt, we was in there 430 years, right? So it said that we're going to be serving in a strange land. Go ahead.
And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance.
Mm-hmm.
And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age.
All right. So that wasn't the one I wanted, but that gives a correlation also showing the years that we will be spending in bondage in ancient Egypt and in our current state of bondage here in America, right? And America's bondage will be ended because of our ignorance. The Most High will take the veil off. We'll serve over 350 years of ignorance and bondage, and then the seal will be broken and we'll be coming up into awakening. We talked about that in Revelation 12, Isaiah 11. Revelation 11. Daniel 7:25, all of those are relevant to the 3.5 days, the 350 years, that prophecy coming to pass, right? And that all was leading in part of our 400 years of bondage. I want the scripture about the land, what's that scripture? But the rivers were defining the landmass of Israel. So the 4 rivers that we have from the Nile and the is it 13?
I think it's Genesis 14.
Is it 14? Let me see. Hold on. I think I got it written down. Drawing a blank.
Oh, you just read that one in Genesis 15, right?
Yeah, 15, right?
Yeah. But,
the one that gives the borders of Israel, and it's done by the rivers. It gives you all of the rivers.
yes, I'm not
I know Genesis will tell you about the. Hey, why am I drawing a blank on that one? Is it 18? Hold on.
okay.
Yeah, read verse 18.
Genesis chapter 15 and verse 18. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates.
The river Euphrates. So he's given us the borders of which the land of Abraham was given, right? So it's saying all the way from the Nile. So everything from the Nile moving eastward would be considered the land of Israel and our inheritance, right? So that is only going to show. Let me get back over here to this other to this map, right? So when we're looking at this river, the Nile, this is all part of our land, right? And this is part of our dwelling. That land that they just showed, that little strip of Israel, trying to make our people believe, oh, that's all you had. No, we had much more land than that. Okay. And we see here through the borders, it said from all the way from the Nile River, all the way going east to the Euphrates River was all of ours. Okay. And where our people was allowed to dwell at, this is all the land that was blessed to our forefather Abraham. All right. So let's move on. I want to show something else here. Now this is a little blurry. Hopefully y'all can see it. Okay. We see here again in Lower Egypt we have Memphis. This is important. So pay attention and look at the diagram. The Nile Delta, and we see how it's broken off in all of the different areas of where our the water routes that everybody was utilizing. Right. The deltas were very important in regards to resources, fertilization, so forth and so on. See the little red dot over here? This land called Avaris. That was the capital city of Goshen. So we were all up over here. You see all the way over to the left, Alexandria. Let me give y'all a surprise pop quiz. Alexandria, Egypt. Who in the scriptures was born there and had a learned a more perfect work by a man and his wife? That's the most I can give y'all before y'all.
A man and his wife.
There was a brother that was born in Alexandria, and he ran into a couple, and they taught him more. Yeah. Where's my Jeopardy music at? I see y'all in the chat. Y'all if y'all know, put it in the chat. All right, for time's sake, let's go to Acts 18. Acts 18. Uh, 18:2. Well, that's the couple. I'll give you that one. Right? It might be 19, but go read 18:2.
Acts chapter 18 and verse 2. And found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus.
Actually, read verse 1 and verse 2.
Verse 1. After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome, and came unto them.
So look where Paul was leaving Greece, going to Corinth. I mean, he's going from Greece to Turkey, all the way back to Italy. He's all over the place. That brother was putting in work, man. Salute to our brother Paul. Drop down and read verse 24.
Verse 24. And a certain Jew.
A certain what?
And a certain Jew.
Okay, go ahead.
Named Apollos, born at Alexandria.
Where?
Alexandria.
So Jews were being born, bred, and living in Alexandria, Egypt as well. Go ahead.
An eloquent man and mighty in the scriptures came to Ephesus.
Right. So for time's sake, you can read on down. You'll see when he ran into Aquila and Priscilla. They built in the scriptures, and Aquila and Priscilla taught him more about Yahushua and helped him build up even more. All right. So we see here the building up of our people and the presences that we had in Egypt. So not only did we have our people was being born in these lands, and we're seeing that this is all places that we were dwelling in, right? Memphis, Alexandria, Avaris. Again, that was a capital city in Goshen that we was dwelling in, right? So here's a map of where? America, Mississippi, also known as the Delta region as well, right? There's only 3 deltas in the world. 2 of them is over here in spiritual Egypt. The other one is in regular Egypt. That also shows you the kindred nature of where we're at, right? So the highlighted green, that's the Mississippi River, man. The Mississippi River is very important in regards to what it brings to the table for America, right? Looking down here, okay? So the Mississippi Delta, it provides hydroelectric power and water to several different states. If you see, I'm gonna show you a better map in a minute. But through this Mississippi Delta, a lot of different states get water from this delta, man. If this thing dries up, multiple states surrounding Mississippi, the delta is out of here, right? Back in the days, it was good for travel routes, trade, the richness of the soil because of the water sources there, the vegetation, the the livestock and the animals that would be around there, fish sources. So that's why when we went to Goshen, we was making it, we was doing good because the Most High put us in a fertile area that was going to that was going to reap a whole lot, right? See, Esau knew this as well. Look at this. When you look at this other map, this shows you the Mississippi Delta, and it's going out and it's filtering out into the Pacific. Look at that the bottom half where it looks like a leaf, right? But look at this other one. What's it look like up here? Don't it look the same? The Nile Delta is filtering out into the Mediterranean. The Mississippi Delta is filtering out into the Pacific Ocean. All of these particular, cities and nations that surround. And look at it, the Rosetta. That's where the Rosetta Stone was found by Francois. What's his name? Champollion. That translated the Rosetta Stone. We see all key parts that help us identify with Israel, right? All part of this Delta region. Okay, so here we see the Mississippi Delta looking the same way, right, that it did in ancient Egypt. Okay, and now look at this one. Now, this one shows it a little bit better. The Mississippi Delta flowing all down here, and then if you look at all of the ways that the Delta breaks loose, it's providing water and resources to Illinois, Iowa, St. Louis, and Kansas City, Tennessee, Ohio, flows all the way up into Chicago, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Missouri, right? And look what's right there. You see the red arrow. Memphis. And what's Memphis known for, though?
It's a city in Egypt.
Well, city in Egypt. So it had a heavy presence of Jake, right? Israel. Same way down in Memphis back in the day. Between Memphis, Mississippi, and that whole area, they said a quarter of the slaves came from there. 25% came from over there. But isn't it the home of the blues?
Yeah.
Rock and roll, jazz, R&B, barbecue, and all that other stuff. This is also, man, I brought this out a while back, and I told brothers and sisters, man, to go. I just mentioned it, but the Devil's Punch Bowl.
Isn't that in Mississippi?
That's in Mississippi. That's right. That was the first concentration camp, man. These fake Revelation 2:9. You know, frauds out here, man. They keep talking about they Holocaust. We had a concentration camp here way before then. Way before then. And they were whining, talking about some. Hold on, let me switch this out. Let me share the screen the other way. I just want to show y'all real quick. They don't want to talk about this one though. Get rid of this little ad in the way. Because I don't want to see it. That's why. Get out of here. See, damn it. The Devil's Punch Bowl, an American concentration camp so horrific it was erased from history. Really? Look at it. Say the word concentration camps, and most will surmise the topic surrounds World War II and the Nazis, but the hard labor, constant threat of death, and barbarism these microcosmic hells presented weren't unique to Adolf Hitler. In just 1 year, about 20,000 freed slaves perished in the Devil's Punch Bowl in Natchez, Mississippi. After the Civil War, a massive exodus of former slaves from southern plantations trekked northward in hopes of reaching a location of true freedom, but embittered soldiers, resentful, the people considered property were now free, had other plans. If you know, brothers and sisters, man, y'all go do a little research on this. They killed thousands of Jakes over here, man.
They got a YouTube.
Buried them alive over there and then try to erase it. You said what now?
YouTube video.
There's YouTube? Okay. Well, you can look it up on YouTube. There's a video. If y'all don't like to read, watch the video. But definitely check it out because it's still good history, man, that they, kind of buried away and didn't want us to know about. You want to talk about concentration camps, man? You talk about the plight that brothers and sisters, man, have been catching over here, man. We got it first, and got it the worst. All right, let me finish this one up. We're almost done. All right, so we see the surrounding areas and what's going on over here, right? So the populace of slaves, the populace of what was happening down there, it was very important, and we see it was very key in Esau's control of what they did down there in Memphis. So we see the kindred name, we see the same Delta region and resources from the area. We see how populous it was of slaves. I think they said there was like 49 slave plantations between Mississippi, Memphis, and all that surrounding area. That was the home of the slaves. And vice versa, back in times of Egypt, home of the slaves, right? South America. So let's incorporate our 10 tribe brothers, right? We read Jeremiah 50:33 about us being held in bondage together. One thing that we didn't realize in Exodus chapter 1, who was already there? In ancient Egypt? In ancient Egypt, when we first came in, Jacob, 70 souls came in there because of the famine, right? Who was already there though? Which one of the sons of Israel was already there? What did he later what was he later the progenitor of? Ephraim and Manasseh. Ephraim became the head of what? The 10 tribes. So in essence, the 10 tribes was already there in Egypt. How did it translate to us here? The 10 tribes was already here in spiritual Egypt when we arrived over here. Or I'm not gonna say we. I don't know if I'm southern. The Southern Kingdom came over here. According to me and mine, we was already over here. Y'all was late. Nah. But we do see here again. I said the 3 deltas in the world, right? The last one is in South America. You got the Mississippi Delta, the Amazon, and you got the Nile, right? That's where we see another kindred spirit that's happening over here. So if we look at over here, we see the next one down here in South America. The Amazon River creates a delta region that flows through Colombia and Brazil. You see where all of the breaking off of the water sources come down and filter into all different parts of the land. Without that Amazon, man, they said you can forget about the oxygen, you can forget about all kind of stuff and resources that come from out of there. That's an important area too. And who's dwelling there? Our people. Who's been living over there for centuries? Our people, right? So we hold and show that that's talking about for major ports, trade, mercantile businesses, everything else, man. And that's the link that shows how we were going to be reconnected. Because where were the first slave ships hit? Brazil, South America, right? That's where the Southern and the Northern reunited. And guess what? They had a resource. They said, man, they got a delta just like back in Egypt over here. Oh, the rest of y'all going over here. We're going to, transport you over here to America. Oh, we're over here in America. Same thing. So here we see a remembrance of where and how we're making these links up, right? So let's move on to this. Y'all mentioned this, right? Y'all was quick to jump on the dollar bill. Dollar bill, y'all. 1 Corinthians 2:14. Let's go there. So this is one of the things. Remember, we used to have that dollar bill, man, and on the visual aid. We broke down the trilateral commission, all of the hidden symbolisms on the dollar and everything else, And we know. Go ahead.
I still got it.
You still got it?
Yeah, but not the big visual. But we had it on 8.5 by 11 too.
Oh yeah, we blew that one up for the visual. Yeah. 1 Corinthians 2:14. Let's read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 14. Mm-hmm. But the natural man.
I'm sorry. I think I want a second. Two and 11.
2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. Lest Satan should get any advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices.
See, that's why when the Egyptians said, "Let us deal wisely with them," crafty counsel. This is why the Most High told us, man, you can't let Satan get an advantage of us. We can't be ignorant of his devices. He puts it right in our faces. There's an old saying where they say, "In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king." And then you look on the back of that dollar bill. Who's that? What's that one eye? They say, "Oh, that's Illuminati, the occult." Okay, yeah, the Eye of Horus. It's all there. We see the symbolisms. We know it. But the underlying thing is when everybody else is blind, the one-eyed man is king. Esau is running it all, man. Novos, Ordo, Seclorum, New World Order. Now that just becomes common wordplay throughout politicians throughout the world. Back in the 90s when we were saying that, oh, you crazy, that's conspiracy. You don't know what you're talking about. You in a cult. No way you talking about what you're talking about is real. Now it's just common words that get thrown around, man. When old Bush said it first, there's going to be a new world order. Yeah. Now slow Biden's out there saying they've been repeating this for the last 20 years. And it's been on the back of the dollar bill all this time, right? But what do we see here? We obviously see the pyramid, another symbolization of our bondage, being here in captivity, where and how America's influenced and drawing their strength from. Egypt again. America's involved in all kinds of the occultic practices from Aleister Crowley and all of them dealing with witchcraft and Satanism. And these are the head high priests and the wizards of America. Dr. Fauci and all of them, these are all parts of the plan. Okay, so we see here. Go to Deuteronomy 28:49. 28:49. The eagle, right?
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth.
As swift as the eagle flieth. So we know that America is stands tall and proud on the great American bald eagle. That's a symbolization. But he stole that from Egypt. We'll go to that next. He stole that, right? They even have a thing called a Caucasian eagle. But I think it's in Greek mythology, though. But either way, it's still Esau. The fact that he would even try to name an eagle after himself, but it's in Greek mythology. But nonetheless, that's still a case point of reference. For Esau. But look, even when you pull up the image, let me see if I can swap it out real quick to share it. So even when you look at the image that pops up for a Caucasian eagle, look what they show. The bald eagle, right? And who's the one that came over here from afar, to put us in the bondage? Read 49 one more time.
Verse 49, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies.
As swift as the eagle flies. So with the power and with the force of an eagle, the predatory nature that the so-called white man came over here with, kidnapped, murdered, killed, preyed on our people, continually preys on our people. That was the nature of the so-called white man. Okay, swift as the eagle fly. If that's what he did, go ahead.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
And we didn't understand Spanish, the Portuguese, and all the other languages that he was coming with, the English. He came over here and imposed his will upon our people, right? Was that it? Okay. So on the back of the dollar bill, we see the eagle, right? Jump over to go to Jeremiah. I think we read it. 23 and 7 through 8. Did we read that?
You got the 13 stars and 13.
We didn't read the verse 7.
13 arrows.
Yeah. Go ahead and read that. 23.
Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 7. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord.
Oh, yeah, we did read that. We did read that. Sirach 42:17. Sirach 42:17. Let's read that.
Sirach chapter 42, verse 17. The Lord hath not given power to the saints to declare all his marvelous works, which the Almighty Lord firmly settled, that whatsoever is might be established for his glory.
So the Most High is not going to show us everything, but anything that he does is to establish the glory of the Lord. Go ahead.
He seeketh out the deep and the heart, and considereth their crafty devices. For the Lord knoweth all that may be known, and he beholdeth the signs of the world.
So the Most High knows everything, man. Esau tries to hide symbolizations and all this stuff. We got this whole thing, man, breaking this whole thing down. All the Masonic symbolizations that goes on in the back of the dollar bill. The hidden eagle, the hidden owl that's in the corner, to represent Molech. Esau hides all the craftiness that he does and everything. And it's a constant currency that's valued throughout the world. That is a symbolization, just how we got through talking about, that the dollar is the world reserve currency. This is the thing that controls everything. This dollar bill and all the symbolizations that come behind it is all based upon Esau, right? And his what do you call him? Dang, I just drew a blank. The Masonic symbolizations and everything else, man. The secret society and the cultic worships that they do. Isaiah 55:10. Let's go there real quick. So he's acknowledging, man, my ways rule the world, right? And all of the hidden symbolisms that he has within there.
Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 10. For the mountains shall depart, and the hills be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from thee, neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed.
Oh, no. So like 50, 55 and 1. That's it, 10. I meant 1.
Oh, I was reading the wrong one. So like verse 1. Ho, every one that thirsted, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye buy and eat. Yea, come buy wine and milk, without money and without price.
Is that the one I want? No, I'm thinking about the one she's gonna be redeemed without money.
Oh.
Shalaki, that wasn't the one. It's in yeah. I want to put 55. Hold on. $52 and 3.
Yeah.
Isaiah chapter 52 and verse 3. For thus saith the Lord, ye have sold yourselves for naught, and ye shall be redeemed without money.
Mm-hmm.
For thus saith the Lord God.
That's all I needed. 52 verse 3. So, we see that the Lord said we sold ourselves for naught, and we're going to be redeemed without money. Even though the so-called white man says everything revolves around money, our salvation is not going to be dependent upon this currency right here. So our people, running around scrambling, trying to make way with the money and swear up and down, man, this is going to think that's going to save them. We got to get this money, The money's not going to save us, not going to redeem us, man. The money is built upon idol worship. It's built upon hidden symbolizations, and actually shows the bondage of the children of Israel. When you look on that left hand, the left. Well, from my angle, it's the left. From yours, might be the right, but probably still the left, right? You see the olive branch that's trapped in its talons.
Yeah.
Who was the olive branch? According to Romans 11.
Yeah. Right.
Obviously, we see the Israel, the olive branch, the wild olive branch, and the mending together in the Revelation. Ezekiel 37. That shows you, man, the children of Israel is going to be held under bondage, man. You see the 13 stars. They're going to say that's the colonies, but I'm saying that's the Israelites.
That's Israel.
The 12 tribes, and you can leave Christ in it. You could even go 13 if you want to talk Dan.
Yeah. It's got 13 arrows and 13 leaves.
That's right.
And its claws.
They ain't gonna say, "Oh, that's for the colonies." No, it ain't never for the colonies, man. Right. That's just showing you what goes on when it comes down to the olive branch being Israel, being in captivity, man. The arrows being Israel in captivity. All of this is symbolic to them, and that Deuteronomy 28 and 49 curse. Matthew 24.
That Isaiah 52 nullifies reparations too.
Oh, about being redeemed without money?
Right.
Yeah, kind of, exactly. I ain't getting that. You know what? I'm just gonna close out with this. I'm gonna close out with these last two. So here, you see where they get the symbolization from, right? This is Egypt, the phoenix of Egypt. This is symbolic to them. The phoenix was a part of it, showing a aspect of resurrection, sun worship, immortality. Had a bunch of different symbolizations, right? So you see, even the way that the depiction of the phoenix is, they do the same way on the back of the dollar bill with the eagle. So again, like they Egyptian zaddies, they do the same thing that they found in ancient Egypt. They throw it on the money. Go to Psalms 10. We read this one last night. We're gonna read Psalm 10. And
the phoenix is predatory too. Huh?
The phoenix. Mm-hmm. And let's read 2 down to 7, and then we're going to read 2 more scriptures, and we'll close up.
Psalm chapter 10 and verse 2. The wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imaged.
Right, imagined.
So
the Most High, we're seeing here, man, that the Lord said through the spirit of David, the wicked in his pride is persecuting the poor. So not only did they go out there and persecute us during the times of ancient Egypt, they persecute us here during these times right now. It said, let them be taken in the devices that they've imagined. Every little torturous, device that they've imagined. The Most High said, man, let them be taken in their own devices, man. From the firing ranges to the nooses to what's the name of that
Brazen bull.
The brazen bull?
Yeah, that's a Greek torturing device that they used.
What are they doing?
They put people inside of it, and then they'll put it over a fire and basically burn them to death.
Mm. See, that's all bad. They was tar and feathering our people.
Yeah.
They had that device called the peach. They would stick it in the vaginal area or the anus, open it up, and killing our people that way. That's where they got the little pap smear device from. But Esau got a wild imagination of torture, man, and how he killed it. But the Most High, let him be taken in his own devices. That's why the scriptures say, man, reward her double, even after he rewarded thee. He got a lot of hell to pay for it. Keep reading.
Verse 3, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire.
See, we're going to build back better. We got a great reset. The New World Order, it's all coming. He's boasting right now. And is not repented of one damn thing that he did to the children of Israel. Same way that Egypt was doing, man. Pharaoh saying, let my people go. Yeah, I ain't letting your people go. The hell with you and your God. Then when he catch a little hell, oh, we're sorry. Here's reparations. Oh, we're sorry. Here's stimulus. Oh, we're sorry. Then you go right back to being niggas again. He's not playing games. The Most High says, you know what? The hell with it. He's done. He's done with it. So he's out here boasting of his heart's desire. Go ahead.
And blessed the covetous, whom the Lord abhorred.
Read on.
The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts.
So he thinks he is God. So he ain't tripping about, the Most High and doing what's right. Go ahead.
His ways are always grievous.
He's always making things hard for our people. Go ahead.
Thy judgments are far above out of his sight.
So he's not even thinking about the judgments of the Lord. He's looking well beyond, thinking he don't have to pay for nothing that he's done. Isn't that what they always say? It wasn't me. I wasn't there. That wasn't my. You don't even understand the judgment of the Lord. You're not even seeing the insight that we're trying to tell you. You're aiding and abetting. You didn't do anything to stop it. You're living off of the labor of the slaves. You're living off of the labor in the land that you stole from the Native Americans, so forth and so on. You don't see that? You got to pay for this? I didn't do it, but you're profiting from it. Do you still see where you're wrong at? No, that's not right. Okay. The judgment of the Lord is not even, it's far above your sight. They can't even understand it. Go ahead.
As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them.
So he puffs out, all his enemies, he sticks out his chest at Arabs. He sticks them out at the Moabites, everybody else, man. All the nations hate Esau. And what's he do? He keeps puffing up at them, taunting them. He knows he's in control. Go ahead.
He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity.
See, and he says, I shall not be moved. That's why when you see the symbolization of the phoenix, it's representing eternity, or it represents immortality, right? That's why he puts that on the back of the dollar bill, meaning that he's going to rule forever. Go to Psalm 49 and 11.
You want to hold Psalms?
No, we can forget that.
Chapter 49.
Yeah, 49 and 11.
Psalm chapter 49 and verse 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations.
See, now this is why when you're looking at, and even if they do say, and that's what they hold on to, oh, the 13 colonies, right? The stars, the arrows. That's because the inward thought is their houses shall continue forever and their dwelling places to all generations. So when they saying this was the establishment of America, this is going to be here forever. The founding quote unquote fathers and all that other foolishness, they're trying to establish themselves to say this is eternal rulership and rule. The same thing that this is where this is symbolized, and that's why the Romans took it and utilized it, the eagle as well, because they wanted eternal Roman rule. Esau thinks, man, he's going to rule forever. That's what he's thinking in his heart and in his mind. A white man says, man, ain't nobody taking me out. I'm going to be here forever. You niggas not going to do it. You spicks not going to do it. You gooch not going to do it. You sand niggas not going to do it. He got names for everybody. Nobody's taking me out except himself. And that's why we see the Ukrainians and the Russians going at it. America got to get involved. He's going to self-destruct. And Yahweh Shai the Most High and the angels is going to come. And with Yahweh Shai and the angels is going to take out and wipe out the rest. The remains. Right. Finish that up?
They called their lands after their own names.
So we know that he sits back and establishes lands after his own name. He takes credit for everything. Right. That's the nature of the so-called white. Jump over to Hosea. Hosea 1 and 10. And then we'll close it with Baruch 2 and 30. Hosea 1 and 10, and then we'll close with Baruch 2 and 30.
Hosea chapter 1 and verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered.
So what were they saying back in Egypt? The more that they afflicted them, the more that they grew. Here we are in America, spiritual Egypt. Children of Israel still growing as the sands of the sea, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Right? Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people.
Well, where else are we being told we're not the people of the Lord? I mean, the damn Kemetic community still run around. There ain't no, you wasn't in Egypt. There wasn't no Hebrews there. They every place we go, y'all wasn't there. Oh, we're in America now. No, you're not. The Hebrews ain't in America now. You just Negro, Black, Hispanic, and Native American, Latino, colored, niggas. We everything but child of God. Children of God. Don't they say that all the time? Yeah. When somebody cuss you out, you call me everything but a child of God. That's exactly what they do to our people. In a place where it was said that we are not the people of the Most High. Go ahead.
There it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God.
That's right. That's why it was in 1 Corinthians 3 was said, therefore the Most High sent us the apostles last. You know, we batting cleanup. All the other doctrines, all the other folly, everything else has already been out there, man. Now the apostles and the prophets of the Lord have to come and instill in our people the recollection of who we are so that we can raise our people up to be the righteous men and women of the Lord that we're supposed to be. Here is going to be said that we are the sons of the living power. This is where the stemming of the awakening of the truth is going to stem from. Here in spiritual Egypt is going to spread throughout the four corners of the earth as we're seeing it happen now, live in the time. In real time, we're seeing that happen. Baruch 2 and 30.
Baruch chapter 2 and verse 30. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people.
So that's the nature of our people, man. Hard-headed seeds, can't get it right. Go ahead.
But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves.
See, now we're remembering ourselves. You know, when we was back in Egypt, what did we have to do? We had to go through 40 years in that wilderness, man, to get purged out and get our acts together. You know, we spent 430 years in Egypt. We adapted to their ways, their cultures, and everything. Taking on the names and all of that. That's why the first thing we got out, Leviticus 18, Most High said, after the ways of Canaan and Egypt, ye shall not do everything that you seen that, and we're going to go over them. No, you're not supposed to be looking at the nakedness of your father and your mother. They was doing that over there. No, you're not supposed to be a sodomite. You're not supposed to be desiring a woman the same way you should be lying with a man. You can't do that. Get that out your mind. Oh, the animals and all that, you can't do that. Here's your diet. Stop eating. Everything had to be purged and changed. And what are we doing here in America? Doing the same thing. And then telling our people who we are. What we had to come out. As soon as we got out, numbers, we got to get aligned by our tribes. We got to start learning about who you are again. How to get your registries done. Everything had to get taken back into account. You know? So here we are doing the same work again. So in the place where we said we're not the children of the Lord, there's going to be declared that we are. And it said that because we're a stiff-necked people, but in the land of our captivities, we're going to remember ourselves. So the great awakening is here. This is the real wokeness, man. Not that fake hashtag crap LGBTQ HIV madness that's been taking over the world. This is the real awakening. Go ahead.
Verse 31. And shall know that I am the Lord their God, for I will give them an heart and ears to hear, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name.
See, and we're going to praise the Lord in the land of our captivity, so forget about that. You can't keep the holy days outside of Jerusalem. And the Lord said you're going to praise him wherever we're at, and think upon the name of the Most High. Go ahead.
And return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord. And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their God, and they shall be my people.
See that? We're going to reconcile with the Most High, man. We're going to get back on the right track. We're learning, we're understanding and knowing who we are. We're seeing the parallels in the spiritual nature that our people have to be possessed with, and understanding and knowing how these prophecies played a part in our captivity, and how this helps us recognize who we are, where we're at, who our enemies are, the whole nine. So we've covered everything from our captivities to the land masses, the geography that we looked at, and we're seeing similarities. We're seeing the same similarities of how our captivities was being played out. We done seen a whole lot of things that show the correlation between ancient Egypt, spiritual Egypt. During the time of our Passover, this is why it's even more relevant. We reflect on our history. We go back and we look and see why and how this is going to affect us during these times right now. Now's the time that we got to actually purge the leaven. We got to repent. We got to get right with the Most High. We actually got to start embracing our understanding about who we are. So with that, man, hopefully everybody got some edification. We see that this truly is spiritual Egypt, man. And as it pertains to it, the Lord said we got to depart about this place. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. That wasn't it. Oh, go ahead. Shalaki, go on and finish it up. I thought that was. I really just wanted to read 30, but I thought you was done. Go ahead.
And I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land which that I have given them.
So once we get put back into our land, once we get our servants and handmaids and all of the heathen going to cling on to the skirt of him that's a Jew and everything else, the Lord said, and we're not going to be removed up out of our land anymore. So going back to the first scripture that we read, well, one of the first scriptures that we read in Deuteronomy 28:68, when it was said, and thou shalt see it no more again, we're not going back into captivity. We're not getting drawn up out of our land no more. We're getting back our rightful inheritance, and the Most High is going to keep us planted with the land that he gave us and promised to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So now we're going to close out. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. All right, man. Praises and glory to the Most High, Yahweh and his son, Yahweh Shai, man. Blessings to all y'all that tuned in tonight. Ashar, shalom. Most High with him, man. I'll see you later this week at the Passover. Jawan, shalom. Hey, shalom. Shalom, if you still on. You got Aquila and Priscilla Apollos. I missed it in the chat. But yeah. Romulus, if you still on. Shalom to all of y'all, man. We're going to tune out. All right. We're out of here. Shalom.